those of you who don't know Dave, Dave co-authored the book with Gary on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, along with, I believe, a multitude of other books.
Yeah, 4
and
others.
Yeah, 4 others. And so Dave and I had really started a conversation about a month ago. We were playing some email exchanges, and I said, hey, I would love to have you on for our ALC group, just to pour into these people. And the timing of it, guys, could not be better as we look really as to where our businesses are heading in the fourth quarter, and then where we start to begin to plan for 2021. Because if you're going to start making strategic changes to your business, you're going to want to do it now. You're not going to wait to the first quarter. And so I'm going to really turn this session over to Dave, and Dave's going to kind of lead the group from here.
Okay, good. Happy to. I have by the way, someone needs to make me a co-host so I can show my screen. So we just need to
Mandy's on it.
Mandy's on it, I know. Hi, Mandy. She's the rock and roll person that got this set up. Thank you. And she's got the recording going, and I'm now a host. So, well, listen, Charlie, I just want to say thank you to you and your team for inviting me here. It's an honor to be with you. I'm excited about what you're doing, and this information, I'm going to go fast. So everyone strap in, get ready to take notes, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to do some follow-up stuff too. But my goal here is to really get you as the top players in the market center, and thank you for your service. It's meant a lot in Keller Williams to really have its best agents, its top 20%, really care enough about the company that they show up and they give leadership to it, because we believe leadership comes from the bottom up. In fact, this book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, was built off of the best of practice of the best agents that Gary and I had been working with for 6 years. Someone said, how did you get the information that's here? Did you guys invent it? And we went, no, we discovered it. We discovered it from the top agents we were working with. Now, I had been in the business, the real estate business, for over 25 years by then. And Gary, of course, had also. And so we brought together our combined wisdom. I'd been a leader in Century 21. I became a training director for them for 3 states in upstate New York, 3 states in the Northeast. And then they moved me to Texas to become what ultimately became a divisional president of 7 states out of Dallas. And then I saw this little company growing in Austin, and I always study competitors. And the more I studied it, I said, this is the future of real estate. I mean, it's not Century 21, it's not all these other brands, it's this one. And fortunately, about 6 years later, I got a chance to work with Gary and Mo. Mo hired me, Gary and I teamed up to build Keller Williams University. And of course, we grew from 2,000 agents in '96 to 72,000 agents 10 years later. And of course, ultimately now 160,000 agents and #1 in the world. And so what I want to say to you is that 2 lessons. One is you learn from the best. So this book is the best of practice. And we took the best we got from all of our top agents and put it together and said, if you were building a true agent-driven business, what would it look like? How would it grow? What would be the stages? What would you do? And I'm going to cover that. I'm going to remind us today what the secrets of MREA are for us in our career. But the second thing I want to say is that Gary Keller and Mo and I really represent what you can do. I mean, there was Gary, this little small company in Austin, Texas, against all the big players, RE/MAX, Century 21, Prudential, Coldwell Banker, all these companies. And he had the aspiration to be the leading real estate company in the world. Now, that's with 2,000 agents. And we began the process, and we did exactly what I'm going to guide you to do. We started to put in place the team, the systems and the models and the way you would do it. And we began to work with our top agents, and we began to recruit to us the best leaders like Charlie and people who really get the game, right? Because as I used to teach for 12 years, I taught the franchise systems orientation, and all new people, all new leaders, team leaders, MCAs that came with Keller Williams came to that class. And I would say to them, Keller Williams is a Ferrari. You'd better know how to drive. Are you going to crash it into the wall? You're going to stall it out. You better know how to drive. So we were looking for drivers, and we built them. Now we have them. Right now we are the dominant real estate company in the world. Amazing. Great to have you with us. And the second thing I want to say is that Gary and I honor you as being learning-based people. You're in a learning-based market center. You're a learning-based person. You are here on this call and I'm going to make it worth your while because we believe the highest achievers in real estate and the best business builders are learning based. They go to more training than anyone else. Linda McKissick, who went to the 7th level, we'll talk about her a little later, in just 8 years, from failing out of real estate to the 7th level, in just 8 years. She said, what you have to do is you have to go to training. She said, I went to Recruit Select 12 times. And I went and learned my scripts and dialogues with Mike Ferry, you know, three big sessions with him. And she said, all of that training put in place the skills and the wisdom I needed to do well in this business. So I honor you for being here. So let's talk about MREA, the overlooked secrets of MREA. First of all, I want to say to you, it was built off of all masterminds that Gary Keller and I were doing with top agents. We built a little book called The Remarkable Real Estate Sales Business Game that we gave out at every mega camp, and it got bigger and bigger and thicker and thicker. And then we created a course in the year 2000 called MAPS, Mega Agent Productivity Systems, which was the beginning of what's MREA. And of course, MAPS became Mega Achievement Productivity Systems and the coaching and consulting program of Keller Williams. But that was the precursor. And then in 2002, we decided to write the book that would change the industry because it would be a gift to the top agents to show them what they could do with their self-employed job and how to turn it into a business. And we would make Keller Williams famous. And both of those things happened, and here we are today. So let me just kind of review some fundamentals. First of all, it is a business. Your work in real estate is a business. Yes, you're a service provider. Yes, you're a professional. Yes, you're an independent contractor. But when you think about it as a business, you start to think differently. Second thing is it's your business. This can be whatever you want it to be. There is no just one way to do it. There is no just sort of regulation. You can make it your business. And what we want to do is guide it. And you are its primary asset. Yes, we honor our clients. We honor our customers. We honor our staff. Of course, no one succeeds alone. We do that. But you are the primary asset, and you need to realize that. You are what makes the business go. You're the brand. You're the reputation. That's why so many mega agents have their own picture on things, even when they're not, listing and selling real estate. Russell Shaw does 350,000 or 350 transactions every year, or 300 plus every year in Scottsdale, Arizona. And his picture is on there, but he probably hasn't met with a buyer in 20 years, hasn't met with a seller in probably 10. But it's his vision, it's his business. And people really relate to a personal brand because they have a sense of doing business with a professional. And then you're the one that brings the vision and the purpose, the way you want real estate done. So you have a set of standards. When you look on page 71 in MREA, and it has the 9 ways a millionaire real estate agent thinks, foundational to it is service, and above that is standards, and above that is competitive strategy. And then it works it all the way up to big goals, big systems, and a big why. But you bring the vision. This is really your vision of how real estate service should be delivered, and you want to articulate that. And you're really good as a leader and an owner, we talk about that oughnership piece, at holding people accountable to the quality of the service you deliver. There's no shortcuts. The productivity, there's no sloughing off and not getting things done. And profitability. We're in business. We say on the front of the book, it's not about the money, but it really is, because it's a business. Now, it's not only about the money. What we say on that cover is it's about being the best you can be. So if you're going to be the best you can be as a real estate agent and turn it into a business and take it to the point where it's a true business asset. I mentioned Linda McKissick. Let me just show her. So in 1991, she's failing out of real estate. She gets the aha from Mike Ferry that you can succeed in real estate if you simply ask for business and don't be attached to the answer. Just keep asking. As Linda said, you're going to get yeses, you're going to get nos. To get to the yeses, you got to go through the nos. You just do it. Just ask, ask, ask. Ask for business. Don't be attached to the answer. That was their key. Then the second thing for her was you have to learn how to state the obvious in emotionally powerful ways. In other words, you have to master your listing presentation. You have to master your scripts and dialogues. She did that. And then she started installing systems, and she worked with Gary and I as she did this. And so I want to picture this. In 8 years, from failing out of real estate, here's what it looks like. Linda has the McKissick Group in Denton, Texas. Average sale price, about $80,000. She has 4 admins, 5 buyer specialists, 2 listing specialists, and a manager. I mean, someone who's running the whole thing. She isn't day to day. She said, I'm only putting in 4 to 6 hours a week, holding it accountable and training people. And she said that, and that's where she was. That's called 7th level. That's the possibility where you can be the owner of a business that's sending you profit, and you don't have to be in it except to the level that you want to be in it. And the way you do it is you get the right people to play the game with the right systems and hold them accountable. Now let's go in. There is a path to doing this. That's what we cover in MREA. First, you have to master the fundamentals of real estate. Now I know you already know this, but I want to be clear that real estate as a service is built on a set of fundamentals. And here they are. It's knowledge, skills, and attitudes, right? The knowledge is your knowledge of contracts, legal knowledge, your knowledge of finance, how people finance, all the options they have, how they qualify, and appraisal, that is property evaluation. Now you have to know the marketplace. I would travel around Ahwatukee, Arizona with Mike Mendoza, our #1 agent for 3 straight years. And he would point to houses and tell me when it sold, what it sold for. He knew every property in that marketplace. So we have to master property evaluation, and we have to have people on our team that master property evaluation, because that's our expertise. So legal, financial, and appraisal. We need to know contracts, by the way, because we're in a very legal business. And that's one of the things we can say in our listing presentation. I'm a master of contracts. So knowledge. Number 2, skills. There's 3 main skills we have. The ability to find and attract business. Find is prospecting, attracting is marketing, lead generation. It's the game. It's the game of building a business. Lead generation, we'll talk about that later. Presenting, the presentation, making effective listing presentations. Page 95 of MREA has already on it the perfect listing presentation right there. The 10 things you do for sellers. Oh, by the way, the bottom of the page is the 10 things you do for buyers. So you have a buyer representation, 1 page. It's magic. If you or your team went in and just photocopied that page and read them, the 10 things you do for them, that would be a better listing presentation than they probably get from 95% of any other agents. Page 95. But you have to master being a master of presentation. That's what I teach in Why List With Me. Becoming a master of sales presentations, listing presentations. And then finally, you have to negotiate. You have to use the Y4C2Ts, all those good things, and getting a meeting of the minds and people to reach agreement, right? And that's a key. So 3 skills, and then 3 attitudes. And there's a bunch of things we talk about in attitude, but to me, the 3 big ones for top producers and MREA agents is intention, optimism, and resilience. That you do things with intention. When you set to do things, you make them happen. You're action-oriented, you're an implementer, you're an entrepreneur. Number 2 is you have optimism. You're not a Pollyanna person, but you always think that you can get better, you can do better, and you can make things better. You're an optimist. And you're resilient. You can take the decision. I once had an agent say to me, Dave, in real estate, you get a lot of appointments, but you also get a lot of disappointments. And it's true, things fall through. People lie to you or don't tell you the truth anyway. People change their mind, people disappoint you. There's all kinds of things, adversity you face, and you have to be able to stay calm in the chaos and not get into anxiety or certainly not into depression. You have to keep that strong, resilient mindset, tough-minded optimist. You've got to be that. So those are the 3, and you can work on those attitudes. And that's what I teach in the Magic Comes in Threes. Then it's, the book says, it's really a 3-step process. You master leads, you master listings, you master leverage. First, you master generating business. You may be an expert at doing business, but if you can't generate business, you're not going to be a top producer. You're not going to be an MREA, that's for sure. Then you have to master listings, because the listings are the name of the game. You list to last. That you control the market because your signs are everywhere, and they're there with an intensity and a repetition that tells people you're the one to do business with. That's why just listed, just sold cards and mailers are the strongest thing you can do from a marketing point of view. As Mike Ferry said, Here's the 5-step key to being successful in real estate. List a home. Tell the world you listed it. Sell the home. Tell the world your world you sold it. Go list another home. 5-step process. So listings are the name of the game because it gives you credibility and market dominance. And then leverage is, of course, getting the right people on the team to do things under your standards and to your level of requirements, and to work effectively together as a team and to stay with you productively for a long time. That's the key to leverage. We'll get there in a second. And then the thing to remember is you're the rainmaker. You must bring the rain. Now that doesn't mean that you're out prospecting all the time, though you might at the beginning, but it does mean that you know how to bring business to you, how to do marketing and conversion, lead generation and conversion. And then now this is a key one, you install systems, because systems are the ace of business, ACE, remember this. A system allows the right things to be done, A, automatically, C, consistently, and E, efficiently. ACE, that spells ACE, it's an acronym, right? Automatically, consistently, and efficiently. That's what systems do. A script is a system. Answering the phone with, "Thank you, it's a great day at Keller Williams, how can I help?" is a great system. Scripts and dialogues are systems, but so is your checklist for listings, so is your checklist to closings, so is all the other systems that you install in your business. And you want people to use systems. We're going to talk a little bit later about the importance of how you do that. And finally, you think big. We say, think big, aim high, act bold. We believe there's no ceilings, no limits. Once you can do 20 transactions, there's no limit as to how far you can build your business. Once you can do 20 transactions a year, there's no limit to how far you want to take your business. It's just a matter of your desire and learning how to do it. Now, there's a business mindset, and it all begins here. This is where it all begins, right? Number one is you know what you want and why you want it. You have written goals. Written goals they unlock results. My wife calls it manifesting. My wife, Gina, who works deeply with women's empowerment and helping women entrepreneurs, she said, it's manifesting. When you know what you want and you have it written down and you have a vision for it, you will get it. Tim Wood, who was one of the ones we interviewed in the back of the book in Millionaire Real Estate, and said, it's the power of future pull. When you can see the future you want, the universe pulls you. Maybe it pushes you right toward it. And you know why you want it. You know what the payoff is. You know why you want to put in the hard work and why you're doing it now, because it's not easy and it's challenging and you're building new skills and new knowledge and there's always more to do than you can get done. But the point is you have a reason, you have a big why. Your family is a why, your economic security is a why, your feeling of fulfillment is a why. Whatever your whys are, then you really should know what they are. And then you know how you're going to do it. That's called an action plan, right? It's a 1-3-5. 1 is your goal, 3 is the priorities and on how you're going to get there. 5 are the steps you're going to take. That's the real key, the implementation steps. So you know how you're going to get to where you want to go. That's also a written business plan, an action plan. And then you know when you're going to do it. As Gary Keller said, until it hits your calendar, you're not really serious about the goal. That's why you do time blocking. And that's why you set aside 3 hours a day for lead generation. And you follow the guidance in the book Shift about the 3 things you do during the 3 hours. So you know when you're going to do it. You really work with your calendar. You time block to get your priorities done. We'll talk about that. Then you have a tracking system. You have a way of you keep track of leads, of phone calls, of conversion, of appointments, and how many appointments lead to listings or buyer rep contracts, and how many of those close. You have a tracking system because you can't hold yourself or anyone else accountable if you're not keeping track of what goes on. And then you have an action plan that puts all this together and gives you focus. And the final thing you have is you have an accountability system. Gary says that, and I agree with him, 10% of success is having written goals. Another 10% of success is having an action plan, but 80% of success is accountability. And that is a way you allow, now it's the number one accountability is if it's to be, it's up to me. So it's ownership. We don't play victim. We know we're an optimist. We can make things happen, that accountability. But the other accountability is you allow someone else to hold you accountable so that you're staying on track and you know you're staying on track and their feedback is telling you that you're staying on track. Gary Keller says, I built this company on consultants and accountability. In fact, it was in 1994 that Bain Henyon, his consultant, said to Gary had been losing money in the national company for 5 years. And the growth was not very good. And his owners weren't doing the offices that were affiliated with Keller Williams at the point, this is in 94, were not very profitable. And his consultant said to him, Gary, you can't do it all yourself. You need leverage. And you have a brilliant system, but you need someone who can go implement it for you and with you. So he hired Mo Anderson as his CEO, and Mo hired me as her executive vice president because she said no one knows franchise systems and deployment better than Dave Jenks. So she brought me in, and the three of us then really made that happen. But see, Gary was accountable to his consultant. He said, find the best consultant you can, pay them what they charge, and do what they say. That's his 3 levels of how to deal with a consultant. So he believes that everything great is built with consulting and with accountability. Now, there's your business mindset right there. Now there's an owner's manual. This is really important because if you're going to implement anything, like if you're going to repair your car or you're going to take care of the new piece of equipment you got, there's an owner's manual. And here's what it is. It's MREA and Shift. Those 2 books are your dashboard. They should be sitting on your desk, coil bound so they lay flat. MREA and Shift, and then MREI, if you're interested in investing, is sitting over to the right. So MREA and Shift are your dashboard. MREA is your strategic business guide. That's how we build it. The truths of being in business and the strategy of a business person, how to think and act like a business person and truly build a business. But Shift is the tactical manual, how to do it, right? Chapters, the thing is, we wrote Shift as really kind of the second version of MREA. In other words, after MREA had been out there about 4 to 5 years, we thought, okay, we need to see if we need to do a revision. So we went back to it and said, is there anything we'd change? And other than a few typos, we said, no, this is timeless truth. This is solid. But what didn't we put in MREA? We didn't put the tactics. We didn't put how you lead generate, what you do to do that, how you attract business, how you make offers, and we didn't do conversion. How do you convert leads into appointments? We didn't do how do you get sellers to price it right and stage it right. We didn't put in there how to work with buyers efficiently and productively and get them to have a sense of urgency so they're not wanting to see another 50 homes. And then chapter 12, how do you manage your transactions to closing, right? How do you bulletproof the transaction so you go from listing to contract to closing and don't have fall through? That's a whole set of systems in and of itself. So all of that is in the book Shift. In fact, let me know the key pages in review, and I'm gonna right now show you 2 things that I've created that I think are helpful. So one is that when we wrote MREA, we wrote it with you in mind. High energy, fast moving entrepreneurs don't have a lot of time to sit down and read intensively books and all that stuff. Very smart, but very action oriented. And we knew that we needed to make a book that was easy to read on a fast, scannable basis. And part of that was we created a table of contents, page 15 to 18, that is it shows the whole book right there. You skip through those 4 pages and you see the whole picture of what it is to build a real estate business and what is contained in the whole book. It's so easy to find things. And we built a lot of eye candy in the book, open space, headlines, graphs and charts, inserted quotes, pictures, all that stuff to make it easy to scan and read. See, I believe in scanning. I'm a scanner myself. When it comes to business books, I'll read fiction, paragraph by paragraph, but when it comes to business books, I'm a scanner. And I want to refer you to a wonderful service that's out there right now called Blinkist, BLINKIIST.com. Blinkist. And what they've done is they've taken thousands of books and condensed them into a 12-minute read or a 12-minute listen. You could just listen and get a whole book in 12 minutes on a 12-minute drive to somewhere. And it's very inexpensive, very good for people who want to learn things and learn things fast, like me. I'm a scanner. I love Blinks. So the other thing is this page I'm showing you is my intensive look at the most valuable pages in MREA. It's page 71, the 9 ways MREAs think. It's really good to remember to see how am I thinking. Page 95, I said it has a listing presentation for sellers and one for a buyer rep presentation for buyers. Page 122, you could blow that up and put it in front of your desk. It's the 4 models. It's the 4 models of MREA. The economic model, the lead generation model, the budget model, and the organizational model, all there on one page. Just blow it up, put it in front of you, right? Then there's the whole thing on using a database. We say that your database is your business, and we talk in there about the 8x8 and the 33 touch and the 12 direct, and all of that's in there. And then page 196 to 203 is maybe the key of what we're talking about today. That is the path to leverage on only 7 pages. It's only 7 pages, but in there is the whole path and secret to how you build a step at a time, a team of people working with you under your vision to create a business that ultimately at the 7th level can send you money called profit, right? Even without you being in the business. What a great asset to have. And then the rest there's a bunch of other stuff in there, but the 5 steps to high achievement is wonderful. So, by the way, that is a really good look at the details of what is in MREA. That's the strategic look. Now, the other book, Shift, it was a little different because we were writing it because we said that we hadn't put this in MREA, but it needed to be there because it's the tactics. And so we really didn't do a full good outline there. We do still have the easy to read, scan through, easy to follow, lots of open space. But what we didn't do is put a detailed table of contents. So there's only 1 page. So what I've created here for you is a detailed table of contents. And by the way, if you want a copy of both of these detailed outlines of Dave's highlights of the best pages on these books, just send me an email, dave@kw.com. dave@kw.com.
Hey, Dave, would it just be easiest if Mandy and I got
No. That's called welfare. I don't believe in welfare.
All right.
I don't believe in welfare. I believe people stand up and they ask for what they want. So the only way I'm going to do this is, and I really would encourage you and hope that you don't send it out to your people. I'm offering it to them personally, and the way they earn it. See, because you got to earn things in life. The way you earn it is you write Dave@KW and say, Dave, I would like all the materials you covered in the class today, including the PowerPoint presentation, all those slides. I want that, and I want these 2, and I'm going to tell you 2 other things later. And I will send them to you. The way you earn it is you just tell me 3 things that you got from this seminar. Just tell me 3 things, any 3 that you thought were valuable to you out of this seminar. That way I get feedback, by the way. So this is a method for me to get feedback, and then I will send those to you, okay? I understand, Charlie, the offer, but I would rather people ask for it themselves.
Okay? I totally respect it.
All right, good. And by the way, just do it. Just ask for it. Ask for what you want. Assertive behavior. We cannot, in my experience, everyone can be more assertive, not more aggressive. That's a mean thing, but assertive in terms of asking for what you want and asserting for what you want. That's what I want you to do here. So the one thing, though, I want to highlight to all of you, and I will send you this, my wife ordered a copy of Shift, and I was looking through it, and I went, wow, here's a piece I've never read before. And then I looked at the front cover, and it said A New Forward by Gary Keller. So in 2011, the book was written in 2007, came out in 2008. But in 2011, Gary Keller wrote a new forward to the book. And so I was reading it, and I will tell you, it's 16 pages of the best thing ever written, ever. I've read all the books on high achievement. It's the best thing ever written on what it means to be a high achiever and how you do it. And it comes from a discussion he was having with his son, who was a teenager at the time. So this is a great 16 pages for you to share with anyone who's a teenager in your life you care about, or a young adult. It's so well done. And so I would just say that, and so I will send you, again, if you write Dave at KW and just say, Dave, I have the old copy of Shift and I don't have the new forward. Please send me the new forward, and I will. It'll be in digital format and you can share it with other people. It's really worth having. But this book really takes us through the skills we want the people to have on our team. Okay, how to do lead generation, that is, find the motivated. It's so good about how you reach out to people and how you make offers that attract them to you. And then, of course, chapter, and by the way, that it also tells you in there how to use your time blocking. If you're doing 3 hours a day of lead generation, it tells you the 3 things you do in those 3 hours. And then chapter 5 is getting them to the table, how you create conversion, how you convert leads into appointments. And that's got all the scripts and dialogues in there. And then there's the whole thing on how to get people to price it right? How to get people to what we say, tell them about being not just on the market. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, this is a script right from it. It says, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, there's two markets going on out there. There's homes that are on the market and they're overpriced and don't look very good, and they're not getting many showings and no offers. Then there's those homes that are in the market, and those homes that are in the market are priced right and look great, and they're getting not just offers, but multiple offers. So my job as your agent is not just to list your home and put it on the market. I want to make sure we are in the market. Okay? My commitment to you. Great script there. And then also there's a script on staging and how to do that, and then how to work with buyers and attract them. Okay, how to give your messages out that attract the best buyers and get them to make decisions quickly. And then finally, chapter 12, which is about bulletproofing the transaction. You would want your administrative team to master chapter 12, the 6 transaction issues and how to solve them. So again, I'll send this to those of you who to email me with your 3 things that you got out of our session. So let me go back, and so we have that, and what I say is master those key pages, review them, memorize the business wisdom that's there, because that'll be how you operate. Copy all the diagrams and post them in your business. Now, here are the steps that we follow. First, there's 3 sets of things we have to learn as we grow our real estate business. I do it, we do it, they do it, right? I do it as my production, we do it as I'm a team and I'm there with them, and they do it as I'm the owner and they're doing it. And it's 3 stages. First, it's about productivity, how to be productive in this business, how to get more done. Then it's about teamwork, how to do it together with people doing different parts of it and working effectively together. And then it's accountability, how you as the owner hold your team accountable to the actions, the productivity, the service, and the standards that you set up for your business. 3 different sets of skills. Now, it all builds on the concept of dollar productive activity. So this is one I really want to lay down for us as business builders. Dollar productive activity. There are 7. I'm going to look at them in a second. And then you get leverage for all the other work. In other words, the dollar productive activity is where you want to be focused, and then you get leverage other people to do all the other work. And the key measure for you, and I would keep track of it on a monthly basis, is dollars per hour. Take the amount of income that came in that month, the gross income that came in that month, and after expenses, so it's the net income, it's the net income, and divide that by the number of hours you spent. It's good to keep track of both. Keep track of the money, keep track of how you're using your time. Those are the 2 big assets. You divide them, you find out what is your dollars per hour. And what you'll find is that top producers typically are making $30 to $50 an hour. They're putting in lots of hours. That's what it works out to in my experience. Once you get leverage, like administrative leverage particularly, and you now can be more involved in lead generation and the dollar productive activities, you'll go up to $300 or $400 an hour for your time. But when you get to the Linda McKissick level and you're the owner, putting in 4 to 6 hours a week, overseeing a team that's doing a lot of business, you'll get up in the thousands of dollars an hour. It's a great number to track. How much is my time worth? How much am I being paid? How can I increase it, right? So keep track of it. And then I would just say persist. Play the long game, right? Because most mega agents, I use Linda McKissick as an example because she got there in 8 years. But most agents who are building millionaire real estate agent businesses, it takes them 10 to 20. I think the average of the ones we highlighted in the back of the book were 17 years. It's okay. There's no extra benefit for doing it fast. In fact, there's dangers of doing it fast, trying to build a team, trying to build a business too fast. You get ahead of it. You don't put in place the foundational things. You don't learn the steps you have to learn. So there's a big danger in trying to do it too fast. Now, let's look at dollar productive activities. There are 7 big activities we get paid for. The top 2 are lead generation and lead follow-up. So it's prospecting and marketing that we do or we oversee. And third, it's lead follow-up. And by the way, number 2 is one that agents delegate that they shouldn't. Top agents shouldn't. Conversion of buyer leads into buyer appointments and perhaps a listing because it's a buyer who needs to sell a home. You'll do that lead conversion more effectively than anyone because lead follow-up is a way that you actually are preliminarily doing a listing presentation or a buyer rep presentation. You're not doing the full presentation, but you're doing enough of it to hint them to make them want to meet with you to have an appointment. Now, you can hand that appointment off to somebody else, perhaps. But if you have this kind of lesser skilled, lesser knowledgeable, less motivated person trying to convert your leads, well, we have a picture in MREA that shows a pile of papers, leads, on your desk going up in flames because all of these leads that could be business for you are not because you're burning them because you're delegating them to people that can't do it and haven't learned how, haven't proven that they can. So these top 2, and don't let the pedal off lead follow-up. Craig Proctor, who was the #1 agent in all of RE/MAX for Canada, and he's developed a wonderful training program. That was one of the last things he gave up. He said, Dave, I oversaw my lead generation program, and every night from like 6, I forget what it was, like 6 to 7, 6 to 7:30, he did lead follow-up and conversion. He said, because that's how I got business. Then I got appointments for my team members, and then they understood the value of being on my team. And I was getting conversions that they wouldn't have been able to get. So just remember, lead generation, lead follow-up, most dollar productive activity. The second ones are listing appointments and negotiating offers. So these are the next ones. Obviously a listing appointment with a seller and a listing appointment with a buyer is a high priority. And then of course, the one you have to be responsive of, where time is of the essence, is in negotiating offers. And you're at the key of making that happen and making sure that you get a meeting of the minds. Those are the top 4. You could put a line under those 4. Those are the ones that make you a mega producer because you can do those 4 and you spend more of your time doing those 4 than anything else. Now, here are the next 3. They're important. Market research. Nothing more important than market research. That's what Charlie was saying earlier. Knowing the market that we're in, knowing the market that's coming, knowing inventory, knowing pricing, knowing trends, knowing them neighborhood by neighborhood. That's what Russell Shaw says. He said, look, pricing is a neighborhood issue. Yeah, there's some general trends in the market, but every neighborhood is different and you better know them. So doing market research, being really good at doing your CMAs and your decisions on listing pricing. And then 6, and that is building your own skills. See, that your devotion to training. See, I think when you're a professional at anything, when you're in the top 0.1% of your profession, you'll probably spend 1/3 of your time training. That's what we found. We actually found we took all of our mega agents, the ones that were in the back of the book, and we asked them in a year, how much training do you go to? And they weren't even counting their day-to-day stuff that they do, practicing their skills and their scripts and dialogues and all that. But just in terms of attending training, it was 1 month, 1 entire month, 30 days, actually 20 days a year, they went to training. Why? Well, because that made them better. And so there's this focus on skill building, and it's a dollar productive activity. And then finally, working efficiently with buyers. And here's what that means. See, a lot of agents try and delegate that too fast. They say, oh, I don't want to be bothered by buyers. Well, the thing is, if you haven't learned how to deal effectively with buyers, you can't train anyone else to be effective and manage a pipeline. You know, let me give you a really good example of this. Mike Mendoza, after we put him in MREA, I asked Mike, I said, Mike, so tell me, you know, what did you do last year? You know, I mean, how many listings did you personally take? He said, 172. Oh, wow. How many sold? 165. Well, see, he knew his numbers. I said, okay, then you probably don't work with buyers anymore, right? Oh, no, Dave, I work with buyers. They're great. They're easy money. They're easy to work with. And eventually they're going to list their home with me down the road. No, I love working with buyers. I said, really? Well, how many buyers did you put under contract last year? He said, 51. I said, you took 172 listings and you put 50, you yourself, not somebody else on your team. No, me, Dave, I did. I said, you put 51 buyers under contract? Yeah. Wow. I said, that's a lot of work. He went, no, it's not like going to the coal mines, Dave. I play golf. He said, I go to all my son's sports events. He said, we have dinner together as a family every night. He said, it's not, he said, I just work focused. I'm a focused person. I do it every day. I went, wow, isn't that interesting? So he said, when I said, how many hours do you spend with a buyer from the time you meet with them till the time they're under contract in a home? And he said, 4 to 6, at most 2 showing appointments. You know, 2 hours each. He said, I limit all my showing appointments to 2 hours. We'll look at 4 or 5 homes in 2 hours. They'll usually 70% of the time buy one of the first 4 that we look at, because I tell them that's what they need to do. And then if I was kind of off track, I'll do another showing appointment with 2 hours, and they will buy one of those homes. See, interesting. See why he's in charge. So we got to learn how to work efficiently with buyers so we can teach others on our team how to do it. Now, here are the 5 big mistakes that Gary and I have found mega agents make, and they're very important. The one big mistake they make is they haven't read the book. They're winging it. You know, they get the idea of the book, build a team, build a business, you know, see how much production you can do. So it's amazing how many agents are just kind of production oriented and recognition oriented. But you got to read the book. So if you read the book, you'll understand here's another mistake they make. They underappreciate administrative staff. See, on the path to the 7th level, your first 2 hires are admins, your general admin, and then a transaction coordinator or transaction specialist, or however you work them as a team. Russell Shaw, I want you to picture this. Russell Shaw doing 300, 350 transactions a year in Scottsdale, Arizona. Here's his staff. I remember I visited him. I filmed him in his little bunker next to his garage. He had built a cinder block, you know, concrete block bunker that was about 12 feet wide and 20 feet long. And he had desks along both sides. It was chaos, but it was so powerful and energetic. And here's his staff: 8 admins, 8 administrative people. He was the leader, 8 administrative people, 2 listing specialists. That's all. Actually, 1 full-time and then 1 part-time, and then two, sometimes 3 buyer's agents. But he didn't focus on buyers. He focused on sellers, on listings. And he's doing 350 transactions a year, and he's not going on any of them. But what did his administrative staff do? They did all the lead follow-up. They did all the setting up of appointments. For example, when his listing specialist would get the list of his 3 appointments, typically it was 3 appointments a day for his listing specialist. And he would come into the office and he'd pick up 3 bundles. The bundle would have the CMA already done, all the tax records, and the promotional Russell Shaw no hassle listing presentation. And he would take that out and he would get the listing and he'd do the measurements, and he'd come back and he'd put it in their computer, and then he'd give it to the admins, and the admins would take it to closing. So as a listing specialist, his whole time with a seller was probably in the range of an hour or 2, right? And so what allowed him to do it? Because there was an admin who was doing, she was a licensed agent, obviously, a licensed broker, actually. She was doing all the CMAs for him and doing all the follow-up with the sellers to give them progress reports. And his 3 closers, his 3 transaction closers, were all licensed brokers. not just agents, they were brokers. That two of them had owned their own companies, but they loved working with him because they got weekends off and they worked 9 to 5 and they could be with their grandkids, and he paid them very well. So here's the thing to understand. The stability of your business and your customer satisfaction will be built more from your administrative team than anybody else. They're the ones who the sellers and buyers will contact more of the time. And then because you've got that administrative team in place and you've also mastered the lead generation, then the buyer and listing specialists are in the middle and they have all that support, and you can pay them less because your concern is their dollars per hour and their take-home pay. We'll talk about that later. So number one, underappreciating administrative staff. They are the heart of building your business. Number two, not building and training a team of specialists. You're not building a brokerage. See, a lot of agents make the mistake of bringing a bunch of people on their team and having them do listings and buyers, and it's kind of a hodgepodge, just like it would be if it was a market center. But that's a brokerage. That's one of the least profitable, most volatile aspects of real estate, running a brokerage. And if you run your team like a brokerage, it's going to be that. It's going to be chaotic. You're going to lose your reputation. You're not going to get leads converted, and you're not going to be proud of the service that you're delivering. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how many people are on your team. So you have to build a team of specialists, people that specialize in working with buyers, people that specialize in working with sellers. In fact, our view is that you would be better off hiring an assistant listing specialist to work with you and take some of the time-consuming parts of listing and listing follow-up with you and do some lead generation on the listing side, and a showing agent over on the buyer side who works with you. They're both employees and they're both on a commission-based business, but they're working under your direction, but everything you're doing is in the name of the team, not in their name, in the name of the team. Why? The team has specialists. We're a team of specialists. That's why we're so good at what we do. The next thing is not really being careful about who you hire. You've got to be sure that they are motivated, learning based. You're going to test them fast at how fast they'll learn their buyer representation, their listing presentation, and their service focused. We find a lot of people just do hodgepodge hiring. You know, someone that's been referred to them, some other, they don't have standards for hiring. They're not looking for people that really want to succeed and really need to succeed, right? And do it with you in your economic model. See, this is one of the things we really believe that, well, we'll talk profitability in a second, but you should really be able to hold your cost of sale at around 30%. So it's 30, 30, 40. 30% cost of sale, that's what you pay other people on your team. 30% expenses, 40% to the bottom line. That's your income. Now, to hold your what you pay others to 30%, you might have buyer agents at around 40 and the listing specialist at around 20%. I mean, in equal, you don't have to do it as a calculation. And your sales presentation to them is very clear. My goal is to increase your take-home pay without the hassle. You will make more take-home pay working on my team and my economic model than you will anywhere else in the real estate industry, on any other team or working on your own. That's my promise. That's my commitment. And why? Well, because you generate leads and get them to appointments, and you have an administrative staff that takes it from contract or listing all the way to closing. There's only like a third of the business that they actually are responsible for. And so I'm just telling you, that's where you really assert your value proposition. Now, they have to be trained to be productive. Let me show you one other thing that I built, because I found that one of the big struggles that top agents have is getting buyer agents particularly to be productive, right? I mean, to really get them to be productive. So what I created, and I'll send this to you, remember, dave@kw.com. Tell me 3 things you got from this seminar, and I will send you this along with what the other stuff I just said. It's my 2-page thing on building high-performance buyer specialists, right? It's how they set their goals and what they do, and it's their weekly or monthly activities that you hold them accountable to. And then the second page of this is really kind of fun, because it's the value proposition of why they would want to be with you. Why would a high producing buyer specialist want to be on your team, operating under your direction at, say, a 35 or 40% relative split of the business that they are bringing to contract. They're not gaining it, they're not closing it, they're bringing it to contract, right? So how would they do it? Well, this will outline it. This will outline it right here. You see, people say, here's one of the things that Gary said that is just brilliant, just brilliant. And I remember when he said it, he said, Dave, you want people, he said this to agents, you want people to succeed. You want people who are willing to succeed in your economic model, not in some other economic model. And so he, by the way, the company he's built, the world's leading real estate company, is exactly an example of this. See, your owners, get this in Keller Williams, they take all the risk, they have all the financial liability, they have to build it, right? If there's a loss, they have to take it. They're at risk financially and legally. They have the liability. And yet, when they make a profit, at the end of every month that they make a profit, Keller Williams requires them to send up to 45% of that profit into Keller Williams for the profit share pool to be distributed with our agents. Whoa, I'm the owner, I'm taking all the risk and I have to share almost half of my profit with the company through its profit share system? Who'd ever sign up for that? The best brokers in the world have signed up for that, and they're making more money on average than any other real estate company in that franchise system that exists. Why? Because they got the wisdom of it. So you're looking for agents who don't need to be in charge of everything, who don't need to have control of everything and show up whenever they want to show up. You want agents willing to be disciplined to your system and use your systems, your staff, and your procedures in order to be more productive and therefore make more take-home pay with a less percentage. I just want you to get clear on that, because that is your value proposition. You shouldn't settle for anything else. And then the other thing is, it's really funny with staff, we sort of treat them like clients. We don't hold them accountable. We let them do what they want, when they want. We're understanding, oh, sorry that's happened. Oh, I know you, it's a tough business. You know, we're very empathetic and sympathetic. The answer is no. We play championship game. You play hurt, you play tough, you show up when the customer needs you to show up. You know, you play under the rules and the systems and the standards of our team, the business. The business has these standards. It's not me. I happen to build this business. This business has standards. It has needs. It's not about you pleasing me. It's about meeting the standards of the team. And then, of course, one of the things back to your administrative staff, they will be the best people you have at holding your producing people accountable for their activities, for their use of systems, and telling you things you need to know about them. Your administrative staff is great at accountability. Promise you that. And then the other thing is, we just hinted at it, not maintaining your profitability. We have a lot of people that are after production. Oh, I'm $100 million producer. How much money are you making? I'm making probably like 80, 90,000 a year. Really, on 100 million of production? Or they don't know. So one of the things that's key in running a business is you know your profitability. Okay, you know it. You use that. And the way you know it is you have a system for it. So here's the systems that drive an MREA team. Systems are the ace, remember, of the business. And when you are a business person, you install systems. Number one is you have the economic model. It's a 1-3-5. Here's the number one number I want, which is usually net income for the business. Here are the 3 ways I'm going to get it: lead generation, productivity, and cost control. And here are the 5 steps I'm going to do under each one. That would be my 1-3-5 as an MREA. 4-1-1, that allows you to say, what are my goals for the year? That's the one. What are my goals for this month? That's the second part. My sub goals for this month plus installing systems. And then 4, what are my activities, not goals? What are my activities for the 4 weeks of the month? That's what a 4-1-1 is. So both of those documents are a way that they're systems. They're systems for guidance, for goal setting. And then we have our whole command system, which is incredible. The amount of effort and money and intelligence Gary Keller and his team, Josh team, have put in to building command. And we said, you know, your CRM is your business, your database is your business. And Keller Williams has built the best database in the history of real estate, because it also includes marketing tools. It includes other aspects that sellers can use, social media marketing, all the marketing tools, and a production tracking system. So one thing on your team, particularly in this day and age, is master command. Master it. Know it yourself too, not just delegate that to a staff member. Know what command can do and what you want it to do in your business, because it's the heart of the system that drives production. It's important to understand. Now, then there's the MREA profit and loss report. We've got that as a standard chart of accounts in the back. Keep track of your money the way that we recommend it. Then you can compare with other people. But make sure you're on a monthly basis knowing your profit and loss. And then there's staff job descriptions. And that's one, it's really, this is where the business gets very analytic. It just gets very analytic. When you decide what you want people to do, they're the secret to building a great business, that you have job descriptions that tell people what they do, their tasks, their functions, and how they relate to other people on the team. But this isn't easy to do. And let me show you one of the things. Gary and I are obsessive compulsive. We just are. And so in 2000, we created this, which some of you may have seen, because a lot of our offices will have it on the wall. And it's called the Tasks and Functions Worksheet. And it's a spreadsheet. And what we did, Gary challenged me to do this. He said, Dave, let's go with our top agents and let's find out all the things they have to do to be successful. What are the tasks of being a productive real estate agent, particularly at a larger level than just yourself? What would that look like? And so we created, down this left-hand side over here, you can see that all the way down, the 172 tasks of a real estate agent, organized in 7 functions. These are general functions, like working with buyers would be a function, working with sellers, lead generation would be a function, marketing and lead generation, and then of course, overall leadership planning and goal setting. Okay, there's 172 tasks down the left-hand side. Now, as you go across and you build your business from level 1, where it's just you, to level 2, where you have an admin, to level 3, where you have an admin and a transaction coordinator, to level 4, where you've started to delegate the buyer side of your business, level 5, where you now have added a listing specialist and a listing coordinator, and then level 6 and 7, where you're the CEO or you've hired a manager, right, to replace you at running it. Now, here's the fun thing, what this chart does. Now, by the way, I would really highly recommend that you get in a room, get the lights down, shine a spotlight on this, have it sitting up on the wall, imbibe in your favorite drink, and meditate on this. Have some incense burning and meditate on this for 2 or 3 hours, because it will brighten your wisdom about how to organize a team and how to grow it. Because down the left, down here, we have under each title, we have X's and P's. And this is very important because we believe in the 20-80. In other words, 20% of what you do will lead to 80% of the results you want. So not everything's the same. Everything has priorities. So under each title are X's and P's. P's are priorities. So any topic that has a P is a priority. Anything that has an X is an extra thing that needs to be done, but it's not a priority. And you can see as you go to level 2 how things switch over from you to your admin, or from now the admin to the TC, or then to the buyer's agent, and then the listing specialist. And you can see all the way over how those P's and X's switch over to other people. I'm telling you, this is the guidance, and this is what allows us to build effective job descriptions. And they're in our leverage course in Keller Williams. If you haven't taken the leverage course, for sure take that. But I will send you this spreadsheet, by the way. Again, dave@kw.com, 3 things you got out of this time together. And I will send this along with all the other stuff. Okay, back now to our fundamental, and that is, so systems drive the business, and here's what we do. We have the 135, the 411, we have all the command functions, we have MREA, profit and loss, and we have the staff job descriptions. And then we hold accountability meetings with each of our people. Holding people accountable is so good for their production. You don't do it for discipline. Accountability is not discipline. Accountability improves performance. We do accountability because it improves performance, right? That's what we do. And there's only 5 questions in an accountability session. They go like this. What were you trying to do? Those are your goals. What were you trying to do? Number 2 is, how did you do? What happened? Your tracking system. What happened, right? 3, how do you feel about that? Because we're in an emotional business. If we feel bad, we'll make a change. If we feel good, we'll do more of it. How do you feel about that? 4, what are you going to do now in the next period of time between now and our next accountability session? And then 5 is, what could get in your way? Just having realistically people be aware of what could get in their way, right? So those are the things. What were you trying to do? How did you do? How do you feel about that? What are you going to do now? And what could get in your way? Accountability meetings should take about 10 minutes. They're better if they're just stand up, unless you're looking at some papers, but stand up, face to face, 10 minutes. If you go more than 10 minutes, you're into therapy. Now it's a therapy session. They're telling you why they didn't get what they got done, the problems they're having, the stresses they're under, and all that stuff. And you're now into therapy. Or they're saying, well, I didn't know how to do that. Or you're into training. There's nothing wrong with therapy and training at different times, but these are accountability sessions. So therapy and training don't go. Accountability does. So become a master. As a leader, I mean, Gary Keller is a master of accountability. I promise you, when someone comes into a meeting with him, they know they're going to be held accountable. And he knows what he's looking for. And he'll encourage them and give them a high five if they got good results or they know exactly what's going on. But he'll just as well, challenge them face to face if they haven't got their numbers or they don't know what's going on or they have excuses. So just understand, leadership is about vision and it's also about accountability. So here's the thing I just want to kind of say in summary to everybody. It's, we play a tough game. Real estate is not an easy game. Just to become a steady producer is a challenge in and of itself. Then to go take your production to a high level of personal production is a major challenge. And then to turn it into a business, an MREA business or MREA team, is really a whole other set of skills. You'll be in the top 100th of 1%. So the key is, here's the key, master the books, the key models and systems. Create an exciting vision. Really describe how you want your team to look, how much production, what kind of people on it, the feeling and the energy of it. Focus on your own personal productivity. First yours, then theirs. So on personal productivity, doing dollar productive activities. Build a relationship, reputation, brand, right? Even if you're using social media or just listed, just sold, you're making the relationship with you personal. It's also why you attend almost all first-time meetings with buyers and sellers, even if you have a listing specialist and a buyer specialist, because you want them connected to you. You're the brand. Rick Brash up in Calgary had a big team of buyer agents. And what he did was he created a 15-minute video of why work with the Rick Brash team. And he said, this person that is showing you this is one of they've had to pass a lot of tests and jump a lot of hurdles to become a buyer specialist on my team. Let me tell you how we work. And so they would articulate the buyer rep presentation so their agents didn't have to do that. And they say, yeah, that's why I work with Rick, right? And we're going to do what we just said. So build that brand around you. Build all the aspects around you and what you stand for. Hire talent. Make sure they're all what we call the same. That means smart, they learn quick, and they're learning based. Attractive, meaning they're fun to be with, they look good, they take good care of themselves. Motivated, they have their reason to do things. And ethical, obviously ethical. If anyone looks like they're not telling you the truth or they're not ethical, they need to be off the team ASAP. And then pay them well. But keep true to your budget model. And then install a high performance team culture where we're going for the championship. We're the best team there is. We do real estate at the highest level. We're proud to be in business together. right? And we hold each other accountable. A high performance team culture. The culture of your team is really important. And then finally, I just say, it's fun. It's enjoy the journey, because when you get to the 7th level and you realize what you created and you have this passive income coming into you for as long as you want, or until you decide to transition the team over to some other ownership, what a tremendous opportunity this is. And there we go, Charlie.
Dave, Jenks.
So just one final reminder, remember it's dave@kw.com. 3 ahas. I just want any three ahas that you got from this session. And I will send you all those documents that I said. And I will do it within a day. You'll have it within a day.
Dave, you're incredible.
Thank you, Charlie. And if there are any questions, have them, chat in your questions. I should have said that earlier. If you have any questions that you'd like Charlie to, or any ahas that you want to share, or any questions that were unclear about what I said or something extended, I'm happy to answer those.
Dave, let me ask you, just kind of start out from a question standpoint is, one of the things I took away from Mega Camp last week is if you aren't evolving your business, you will be exposed, right?
Yeah, I think it's if you're not being thoughtful about what your fundamental belief is in the service business you're running, then you will be exposed. If you're trying to wing it by, not training your people or not having them apply to standards, or you're shortchanging your administrative staff. Yeah, we're in a very competitive environment. And by the way, the thing that's interesting is it's always been competitive. It just always have. There's always more realtors than can handle all the money. You've got to be in the game of getting in the top 20%, then the top 5, then more. It's a very competitive business. It just is. But I think they're right. I think if you're not staying on top of things, you'll be revealed. Yep.
Yeah. And what would you say from let's just say for the last 8-9 months of what we've experienced so far in 2020, and some of the principles that you've talked about today? What do you obviously I wrote down the 5 big mistakes and things like that, but talk to this group about some of the things that you've seen or experienced this year that's so unlike anything else.
Well, I think what this time has revealed is whether you have relationships with your database. Mm-hmm. See, if you've been winging it on personal contact and, all of that, then when we get into the COVID lockdown, and how do we communicate with people? How do we get the message out that this is a good time to buy or sell? How do we get that market out? If we don't have a database that we can communicate with and also contains really solid information. Gary Gentry taught me this. He said, Dave, you and Gary Gentry was the first ever agent to close a deal in Keller Williams, and he's still active with us, and he and his wife, Melody, run a wonderful team in Austin. And he said, Dave, the key to your business is your database, it's relationships. And he said, here's the thing, he said, you and Gary say, capture, convert, and capture, connect, and convert. So he said, that means that you have to capture them into your database, then you connect with them on a regular basis, then you convert them into clients, customers, referral-based advocates. Now, he said, here's the mistake most agents make. They never capture it. He said, either they're not entering people into their database that they meet, they're not setting a goal to add new people, and when they meet with somebody, they meet with them and they learn all kinds of things about them, but it never makes it into the database, so they forget it. They forget they don't know the dog's name, they don't know the kids' names, they don't know where they work, what their position is, they don't, and he said, here's what I learned. He said, when I come out of an appointment, I know how much I've really gotten information about them. And he said, what I do is I verbally download that onto my phone. In 3 minutes, I can download all the things I learned about their names, all that stuff, all that data. And then I send that file with their name on it to my admin, and it goes into my database. And then he said, when I call them back and I pull their file up on my database, I'm asking them, how's your son doing at Texas A&M? And how about the dog you took to the vets? And he said, they right away know I know them and I bond with them, and that's going to last forever. So he said, the big mistake agents make is they don't treat their database with respect And in a way, they view it as almost just sort of like a mailing list at best. And he said, no, it's what I call a relationship development system. You want that relationship with that person to evolve. So what I would say, the first thing that people learned in this lockdown was that they really hadn't built their database to the level that they really needed to. The other thing is they hadn't learned how to market in social media, right? I mean, the one thing that's neat about Command is it's got all the tools to easily show up in all the social media with, like, look, Sue Adler is a great example, one of our mega top 20 in the whole company in northern New Jersey, very average sale price, I think above $1 million, pretty close to $1 million or above it. And she's on social media all the time talking about her virtual home buying process, about her virtual open houses, about what's going to happen in the market when we come out of this COVID time. She had such a, and she does it like a podcast, but it's on social media and it's broadcast lots of different places. Well, Keller Williams has built all kinds of tools in Command for showing up on social media. So I'd say that's the second one. And the third one is, I'm just going to put it out there, we haven't built the mental toughness. See, when you deal with adversity, some people are resilient and some people cave. Some people go into high anxiety and start taking anti-anxiety medications or antidepressants instead of realizing that it's all a mental game. Dealing with adversity is all a mental game. And when you play it at that level, when you have that stoic philosophy of serenity, courage, and wisdom, then you play tougher. You don't get knocked off your feet. And you help your team. See, the other thing is, since we are leaders, and of course you have ALC members, so they actually are great leaders of the culture of your office. So them learning how to keep their thinking at a positive, optimistic, can-do level also influences other people around them, including their team. Yeah, one of the things, I do a session, a Zoominar called Magic Comes in Threes, and the heart of the back end of that is how to build mental toughness and mental resilience. And I talk about how Gary Keller and I both had difficult times in our lives, that we learned lessons on how to get past that adversity. And there's some important ways to do that. And I think as leaders, building that resilience, and as one agent said to me, I always want to be the calmest person in the transaction. I just think that's a wonderful self-statement, you know, but you have to learn how to do it. So anybody who has chat in any questions, if you have chats or any comments.
Anyone? Well, we still have Dave and good.
Dave, I think you've given us all a lot to think about. And I think everybody in this group, these guys are all highly productive, successful group of people. Very, in the Milwaukee market, this is a powerful group of people, from new startups like Nikki Kunick, who's crushing it, to the Bruce Gallagher's, Karen Trimble's, Janine Warner. I mean, everybody does this business on a really high level. And I think today's presentation has been an hour and 15 minutes of, I would say, for running a team, most powerful information we've gotten in a short amount of time that we can actually activate.
Maureen, thank you for that. And thank you for giving leadership to this office and for inviting me here. I really appreciate that. I really do. You know, it's interesting because the hardest challenge we had, and this is like finding members of your team. I'll say that to the agents. Finding quality people to be on your team is an ongoing challenge. That's why we focus so much in Keller Williams on Recruit Select. But early on in the early days, someone say, what was the toughest job for you, Mo and Gary? And I said, well, you know, one part of it was making sure we were living what we were teaching. So we had to have the university. We had to have great masterminds. We had to deliver great training to regions and to market center owners and to agents, of course. But I said the hardest thing was to find people who could play the game at our level, like you, Maureen, to find people who really got the Keller Williams model and had the wherewithal to implement it. And now we've got that. That's why we're unbeatable around the world. A lot of people don't understand that Keller Williams, you know, being the largest doesn't make us the best. Being the best has made us the largest. And that we have 7 models now with technology, 8 models that we follow as a system. And we have gone to the top of the industry in every one of those 8 models. I mean, no one else had. I mean, we were rated the #1 training company of all businesses, not just real estate, all businesses. For 3 years, we were #1, #2, and then #1, and then we went into the Training Magazine Hall of Fame. Well, who has ever taken their training and consulting to that level? And then we get recognized. We're the only real estate company whose technology is honored and recognized by industry watchers, like, you know, like Fast Company and Wired Magazine and those kind of real technology watchers. No other real estate companies' technology tools have gotten that kind of recognition. And that will keep getting better. And I will tell you, I just want to put this on the table. And the reason is when Gary Keller sets his mind to do something, it only gets done at the highest possible level. And that was true in our book. I can tell you, being there, writing with him at that stage, Jay didn't know the real estate business. Now he's become an equal author with everyone. But in that first book, Gary and I were the ones that were the content. Jay was our writing expert. And so we all worked together as a powerful team. But I will tell you this, that book would not have been as good as it is if it weren't for Gary Keller. There were times that we would be ready to say this chapter's ready, you know, to go to the manuscript, and he'd go, no, it isn't. No. Needs more of this, needs more of that. And so Gary, and he's doing that now with the technology people. They have to bring things to him, and you know, he has his standards of what that technology has to do. And if it doesn't meet it, they're back to the drawing board. So we're just led by a visionary who has no patience for anything other than that which is excellent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can feel it with the owners that have come on board this. So there's competitors out there. There always will be. It's just the nature of the game. I love real estate. It's a highly competitive entrepreneurial industry. I love it. And that gives everyone who plays it at the highest level the chance to win, because there's no regulations that are holding people down. And I think that's powerful. And so I think, and so it's great to be with the company that, you know, has proven every aspect of it and serves its agents. You know, that's the other thing that's just important about Gary Keller's philosophy, and that is the agent is the business. You know, our only job is to give every tool, system, support, structure that allows agents to achieve their goals and operate at the highest level. It's not about the company. It's about our agents.
That's awesome. Dave, thank you so much for pouring into this group specifically and taking time to time out of your day to.
Well, listen, they need to understand that I'm here because you brought me. I just really want to know that you guys made the decision and looking around saying, you know, we'd really like to bring Dave Jenks, co-author of MREA and all that. We'd like to bring him to our people. So I'm honored to be here, and I want them to know you brought me here.
Cool. Well, thank you. And guys, just so you know too, next month we have Dave coming back to do one for the broader audience of KW Milwaukee, so that people can share in Dave's wisdom, but it's a different presentation. And so we specifically chose this presentation for this group and these people. And next month is a much broader conversation for the entire KW Milwaukee group.
So with that, Charlie, I would say take this conversation to your team and talk about how Dave is going to be visiting us in a month, because this is something people will not want to miss. Yeah,
tell them that. But to anyone in the office at any level of production or whatever, just encourage them, you know, be here, because it really is a gift. There's a wisdom, there's an energy, and you will feel that and you will take it away. So.
Well, so for this group, it's October 21st at 10 a.m. if you want to mark your calendars. October 21st at 10 a.m. We'll make sure we get you the information. And I will leave you with this. my one thing that hit me over the head like a frying pan is Dave doesn't believe in welfare. So if you want the stuff, if you want the stuff that he shared today, send him a note, dave@kw.com, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to be pouring over some of that stuff because there was some fantastic stuff in there.
Thank you, Charlie, for not taking offense at my rudeness.
I thought it was incredible.
All right.
All right.
Take care, everyone.
Great day.
Yeah, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Jesus, Mary.